Hey everyone, I'm glad you're joining us today as we continue our 320 Devos. If you watched yesterday in our Devos, we talked about how Nehemiah finds out about Jerusalem being completely destroyed and how he was absolutely devastated about it. We're going to continue that story. Our scripture today is Nehemiah 2:2-5. It says, "So the king asked me, 'Why are you looking so sad? You don't look sick to me. You must be deeply troubled.' Then I was terrified, but I replied, 'Long live the king. How can I not be sad? For the city where my ancestors are buried is in ruins, and the gates have been destroyed by fire.' The king asked, 'Well, how can I help you?' With a prayer to the God of heaven, I replied, 'If it please the king, and if you are pleased with me, your servant, send me to Judah to rebuild the city where my ancestors are buried.'" This scripture picks up about 4 months after he finds out that Jerusalem is destroyed, and he has a burden to do something. See, sometimes God places burdens on our hearts for a reason, but he doesn't necessarily give us direction in that moment. Sometimes he wants us to pray about it, sit in it, fast, and just wait for his timing. And that's exactly what Nehemiah did. For months, he fasted and prayed about going to the king. I'm sure he was full of what ifs. What if he's angry that I approach him? What if he doesn't let me go? What if he kills me? I'm sure we've all had those what if thoughts. What if this job isn't right for me? What if I fail? What if fill in the blank? I know we've all been there, and sometimes we can let those thoughts just cloud our vision, and it can stop us from doing what God's called us to do. Despite all the potential what ifs, Nehemiah's burden for his people was greater than the fear of his own life. Oftentimes, the burden God places on our heart will require boldness. Boldness to stand up for what's right. Boldness to maybe go on a mission trip or to join a small group or give financially. See, Nehemiah had a burden and he approached it with boldness. So now in the story, it's been 4 months since he found out, and Nehemiah finally approaches the king. And he shockingly responds by asking how he can help. He wasn't mad or angry. He just simply says, "How can I help?" Nehemiah requests for the king to allow him to go to Jerusalem and rebuild the city. Remember as Pastor Mike talked about a couple Sundays ago, Nehemiah is extremely important to the king. He's his cupbearer, and the journey round trip is about 1,600 miles. So he will be gone for a very long time. And in the end, though, the king not only allows him to go, but he also helps him by ensuring his safety, and he gives him material to help rebuild the city. This part of Nehemiah's story is full of faith, patience, and boldness. Sometimes God just doesn't want to give us a burden for people or a place. He always gives us the boldness to act on it. As I close, I want to ask you, has God placed a burden on your heart for something or to do something? If so, I challenge you to pray, to fast, and when it's time, approach it with boldness. I hope this has stirred something in your heart today, and we hope to see you tomorrow.